Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this wonderful program, National Matters. I'm your pastor, Pastor Chiluba. Please allow me to sincerely apologize that we have come 20 minutes late due to the fact that the importance of the program, there is somebody somewhere out there that will join us late. So these communications and links, they really take time. Otherwise, I am very grateful that you have joined us. At some point, I'm going to introduce, with the permission of the technicians, somebody in Italy who will be part of this program, and those that are also scheduled to be with us. Under the permission of my director, we will be able to cross over to them. But tonight, as some of you got the clip, I am so honored and privileged to have in the studio Mr. Katuta. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you, Pastor Chiluba. I really appreciate this honor. And in spite of our late, or rather delay, I feel very, very honored to be here with you tonight. So thank you. Thank you.
I'm very grateful. Mr. Katuta, if you can tell the nation and the world your full names, not those names you used to use when you were in grade 3, but the names where when people see you, of course, they will call you by that name. And also, who is Mr. Katuta? Begin with your names.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, good evening, family, and good morning, wherever you are. My name is Jimmy Chola Chambeshi Katuta. I am a son of a copper miner from Mufulira, Mr. Las Nason Katuta. I come from a big family, very, very happy family. And I am blessed to be here in Lusaka today, staying with my elder brother, Mr. Joseph Katuta. To answer your question, my dear pastor, who is Jimmy Katuta? Jimmy Katuta is a man who comes from very humble beginnings, a man who really loves his country. He loves his country so much that he sacrificed. He sacrificed the ability to be right here in the country and help it develop because I felt I wasn't ready. So I left to go to the United States in 1993. My father wasn't very happy with that because I remember he said to me, why would you leave? Why would you leave when you are a resource to your nation? And I remember I told him, I said, for me to really contribute to the growth of our economy in Zambia, I need to go away so I can learn and then bring the knowledge back. That is Jimmy Katuta in a nutshell. I am a father of 2. I have a daughter, Teresa, living right here in Zambia, in Ndola. I have a son, Malaika, who is 19 years old, and he was born in the United States of America. I am married to a wonderful woman. Her name is Crystal Katuta. She's an African American and somebody that is very dear to my heart. Yes.
So now your citizenship.
Well,
by the virtue of marriage, family, yourself?
Not necessarily. One might think that, but I am one of those rare Africans and Zambians who did not take on an American citizenship. I have held on to my Zambian citizenship because I am so proud of my country. I've lived in America almost 30 years. I am a permanent resident, and I renew my green card every 10 years. So I am all Zambian. I am not an American. My son is an American and my wife is an American, but I am full-blooded Zambian. Yes, sir.
We're grateful to the Lord. I must say that by the special grace of God, dear Camnet TV viewers, let me give you the background. Mr. Katuta appeared on Camnet TV breakfast show. When you wake up at 7:15, you see our breakfast Monday through Friday, and he appeared on the breakfast show. So as my wife and I were just monitoring the program from home, what he was bringing compelled me to jump out of bed, come and meet him in the studio, because you know the Bible says iron sharpens iron, and birds of the same feathers, they always flock together. That's what our friends say. But when I spoke to Mr. Katuta to come on this program, he refused for the simple reason that today, Monday, he was supposed to be in another country, which I won't mention, with the president of that country, and to just bring the blessings that God has endowed him with in that country. But being a Zambian, and he didn't fully maximize his time with the Zambian people, he said, Pastor, let me see if I can change the tickets. As you can see, he didn't fly out. He's with me in the studio by the grace of God. Now, I am so privileged. That is part of the background while we are with him here. Before you left for the U.S., Mr. Katuta, what were you doing?
I was working for the copper mines in Mufulira. I was working for ZCCM, like all my brothers and all our fathers and uncles. It was a family business. So I worked there, and it was something I really enjoyed. But something told me that there was more I could do. And that is why I left. Yes.
I want you to tell the nation your story, how you landed in the land of plenty, the land of the brave and the free. Was everything rosy when you landed? Did you land by the stream which flows with milk and honey? If you can tell the nation that, I'll be so glad. Because there are a lot of people who think, when I go to America, I'll be drinking milk. Bathing milk, eating honey.
That is very interesting, Pastor. America, the one thing I noticed very, very quickly in America was that America moves at a very high pace. You know, here in Zambia and other African countries that I've visited, especially government offices, when it's lunchtime, they close and they take a lunch break. America does not have that. There's no closing businesses during lunch. You're always, they maximize every moment, every minute. And that is why they are so advanced. And those are some of the most fundamental things that I learned about America. The fact that they work very hard and they're very proud of their country. And this is why I am so happy to be here. And even though I missed my, or rather I delayed my flight, I'm so happy that I'm here. And I never really got to thank you for this honor, because this is a privilege that I have been waiting for in Zambia. I've been in Zambia for 3 weeks. And I was hoping that I would make an impact before I had to leave and go back. So I'm so happy to be here. What I want to say to my fellow Zambians, as we grow this economy, this country of ours that we love so dearly, I want you to remember the words of President John F. Kennedy of the United States. He said, and I quote, "Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country." This is a country that is so powerful. This is a country that has so much wealth. We have an abundant supply of sunshine. We have water that is limitless. We have the soil we have a young population, our youth, and they are hungry to work. They are hungry to, they're not lazy.
Before you go to those,
I
know
get
you
a
are-
little carried away.
You are
sorry.
burning with a passion.
Yes,
For the sake of the young man,
yes,
watching and saying, Mr. Katuta made it in America. He landed
yes,
near the streets of milk and honey.
yes.
I will also follow. Is it easy to be in America?
No, it is not. It is not. And one thing that most people, our people here, need to understand is that as they call their brothers, sisters, daughters, and sons that are in America asking them for money, I want you to understand that your people, your people in America, in the diaspora, we work very hard. And it's not as easy as people think. Every penny we have, we earn. It is not easy. It's very, very challenging to make money there. So there is milk and honey, but you have to earn it. It is not free milk. You have to earn it.
I ask this, Mr. Katuta, because each time my wife and I visit the US, we find people having 3 jobs, 4 jobs. Some don't even have time to rest. They work throughout, rest for 2 hours, 3 hours. They are rushing for another job, which in Zambia, and most of us Zambians, are not used to.
It is true. It is very true. That does happen. Most people have 3, 4 jobs just to maintain their livelihood. And one of the other things that is prevalent in the United States is that childcare is very expensive. So sometimes people are put in a position where they have to determine whether to go to work and pay a babysitter to watch their kids while they're at work, or just stay home and watch your babies and do something from home, work from home. It's a very challenging thing, and it's something that needs to be addressed because it depletes and it robs people of family time. Yes.
We are already minutes behind, because at some point, as I said, dear Camne TV viewers, will be joined with Mr. Paolo from Italy. And we want to let you know that Zambia is not a poor country. And we want to let you know, like I always say on the program with my wife, that we can develop to the levels of Dubai. When you think to say the reason why the Arabs or Dubai has developed like that, it's because they have oil, your mind will be crippled. The wealth that we have, if it's properly managed, we can develop like Dubai, like America. I don't know whether my concept is wrong.
No, it is not. It is not. And this is a good segue for me to try and just, again, I like to talk to my people in Zambia. When you look at the wealth that Zambia has, our mineral resources, our arable land, everything that we have, it is, to me, it is very difficult to comprehend why we borrow so much. Zambia should be the one loaning money out because we have everything we need. We have a very educated population. Our society is very educated. We are not lazy. We love to work. I don't know if you noticed, I'm sure you saw it, there was apparently a census that was going on, and they asked people, I think they required 3,000, and I think 25,000 people showed up in the stadium. That touched my heart, to see that these people are looking to work. They want to work. So what we need
There
to
were
do,
30,000 that appeared,
30,000
but
that
they were looking for 3,000.
3,000. That, to me, is a sign that our youth, our people, are ready to work to develop our country. We should have a surplus We should have a surplus because we have so much to give to the rest of the world. Yeah.
One of the things, Mr. Katuta, that I should be able to bring to your attention, though coming from a poor family myself, my mind is not poor. God has blessed my mind. I like thinking out of the box. That said, I look at the population of Zambia, I look at the land that we have. Do you know that through Camnet Television, the people that have subscribed from the time we started before COVID to now, we have people that have land going to about 560,000 hectares of land right here in Zambia.
Wow.
By the Zambian people. I don't understand how a person with 1 hectare can say they are poor. A person with 2 hectares can say they are poor. When in Japan, to just have 10 by 10 meters of that land, they still make money enough to buy vehicles. What is the difference?
Equity and ownership. They have equity in their country. They take ownership of their country. And that is why I'm always preaching high-paying jobs. Because we need to empower our citizens. If we pay our citizens well and make sure that they make a wage that is enough to feed their children, their family, they will have ownership in their land. They will have equity in their land. They will take ownership and responsibility to help grow the country. I was watching on TV today, there was on news that there's a shortage, or rather the farmers are having trouble with their tomatoes because people, the commercial farmers are overstocking the market and the small farmer is suffering. That should not happen in Zambia. That's why I'm always talking about value addition. If we had factories that can turn tomatoes into canned tomato, into tomato ketchup, into tomato sauce, those tomatoes that I was watching on TV that are going bad, they shouldn't be going bad. Tomato is an asset and it should be taken care of. It should be manufactured and then converted into canned tomatoes so we can export, rather than it just go to waste like I saw on TV today. So to answer your question, the reason the Japanese and the other countries, for that matter, are making so much with so little is because they love and they own and they take ownership of their country. That is what we need to show our people in this country.
One of the things that we have here, which is a problem, are the commercial banks. I can tell you something that even where we sit here, it's by the grace of God that we have this television station. I went to the bank, I won't mention the bank. I said, help me with $2,000 converted to kwacha. So that we can buy the cameras and start a TV station. They asked me for title deeds. They asked me for collateral. I didn't have anything that I could place to the bank to give me that $2,000. It was a lot of money. And it took months and years for us to recover. And by the grace of God, we bought 2 cameras with the help of the church. And the Camnet Television started. And it was a challenge. Up to now, I still thank God that we began. There are so many people with ideas, with projects, Mr. Katuta, that if Zambia, especially our politicians, had to take time to interview or just go to somebody and say, what is your project? Can we help you? they will be able to do great things. I want to submit to you, Mr. Katuta. I know your banks there are different from us, because in America, you fund the vision. Here, even if I have the vision, I cannot be funded. They have to ask me to do something, bring my house, bring that. And once I lose that house, several people have lost houses because they didn't have the money. How can God use you to help this nation? I pray my president, HH, is watching, and pray that all the politicians are watching, past and present leaders. I pray they are watching to this program. How can you, from there, talking about value addition, how can you help this nation?
I think that this is not something that one person can do. Mm-hmm. This is going to take a collective effort of government and its citizens. Mm-hmm. The reason why the credit system works in America is because they have risk mitigation. Mm-hmm. Our commercial banks do, right here in Zambia and Africa as a whole, and again you keep hearing me say Africa because I believe that in order for Africa as a whole to develop, each of us have to be on the same page. But to answer your question, Pastor, what we need to do is establish a credit system, a credit monitoring system that mitigates risk for the banks. Mm-hmm. Because what we want is to make sure that our banks are not losing money. We want to make sure that our banks are not giving loans that will end up in default. Mm-hmm. So that's why America has created a credit monitoring system. I would urge our politicians to look into something like that, something similar to that, where we have the monitoring system using our national registration cards. And I know it's going to take a lot of work to do, but we have very, very intelligent politicians, and also our private sector. We have a lot of intelligent people. So they have to come together, create a policy where there's a credit monitoring system to where a bank can look at somebody's habits, somebody's behavior when it relates to money. How do they pay their bills? If you can track that, then you'll be able to determine who to give a loan and how much to give. That's what I would say.
Fantastic. I'll come back to that question. I'm not through with you.
Okay.
Because the banks have got their own sins. Yeah. When it comes to Africa, they just get things from Europe, copy and paste. This is what I found. Copy and paste, copy and paste. For example, if Martin Luther King, who said, I have a dream that one day a black man and a white man will sit in the same class. If that dream was to be financed here in Africa, no bank would have given the money to Martin Luther King to actualize the dream.
Right.
You understand? But even if I have a dream to change Zambia, which is very possible, I cannot be financed by our modern banks. This is what I'm saying. Even if I've got a business plan, I've got everything written down, everything, they'll still say, Pastor Chiluba, bring collateral equivalent to $5 million, because my dream is worth $5 million. So that aside, I think for me, banks, they just copy and paste. They don't tailor their programs or their lending policies to an African. How can I find somebody in Luapula or Mongo just selling cucumbers? How can I grow with them so that they can start exporting to those other countries? But one other problem Mr. Katuta found is that the government and also the people in leadership don't take time to educate the people that if you want to export those tomatoes, they must meet the international standards. It is not just because the tomatoes are coming from Zambia, or cucumbers, or avocados. They must meet a certain criteria. I'm sure in America you don't just buy everything without it passing a certain test.
Right. Well, you know, in America they have the FDA, which is the Food and Drug Administration. They also have the EPA. So those are systems that are in place to make sure that the business is open to anyone to participate in the Commonwealth of the country rather. So if we were to say, let's look at America, let's look at what are the requirements for exports, or rather for imports into America from any country. There are guidelines out there, Pastor. There are guidelines out there, and our government has access to those guidelines. What we need to do is make those guidelines available to everyone, so that now we can see that, okay, so if you're talking to the small farmers, you say, if you're going to grow tomatoes, if you're going to grow whatever it is, make sure that it meets these standards so that we can export it. That's how we should do that. The American system is very simple and it's very welcoming. What I love about our new president is that he is very open-minded. He is traveling a lot, and he has, I don't know about his cabinet, but I know that he's traveling a lot. I'm sure he has people under him that can make sure that everything is done correctly. By correctly, I'm trying to simplify it. Okay, I'm trying to simplify it for the average Zambian. If you're growing groundnuts, you have to make sure that they meet a criteria for export. That information should be found. I believe the ZDA, the Zambia Development Agency, should have that. Those are the guidelines that should be followed. And if they're followed, I don't see why America wouldn't want to do business. Because America, I talk to American politicians on a regular, and every single one of them tell me, why is it that we are not doing business with Africa? Because we have so many opportunities for America to do business with Africa. You know, America imports fruits, vegetables from Mexico and China, God knows where else. And Africa is right here. With all this land, with all this homely, and by homely I mean organic foods that are healthy, and America is all about health. If we were to export these products, this produce to America, America will be happy to do that. Now, what we need to look into is logistics. Is it because it costs too much money to ship from Africa to America? If it is, how do we mitigate that? We need to look into that.
Maybe at this time, my director will allow me to speak to Mr. Paolo Bre in Italy, because Mr. Paolo is the CEO for World Sustainability Organization. It is an organization that I want the Zambian people, the President of the Republic of Zambia, the politicians to get to know, because that organization is opening up Europe to Africa. And this has been facilitated by our able charge d'affaires based in Italy. Our acting ambassador to Italy, him and I, we talk, is very passionate to actually speak for Africa, especially Zambia. And so I want to ask Mr. Paolo, if he is my director, can I speak to Mr. Paolo? Has he connected? Okay. Once he connects, please let me know, my director. We've got to make sure let me just send to my director something so that he can share. My director, please give us, I've just sent something. Now, the European markets and the Zambian markets, I can tell you, even before we go to Europe, do you know that, of course, the presidents have been trying to connect Zambia to Congo, Zambia to Mozambique. There is enough money in these countries for us not to borrow from IMF. I believe that. But also, the European country, we cannot do away with it. Now, coming to you, Mr. Katuta, before we have Mr. Paulo, heavy equipment here in Zambia, graders, front-end loaders, and all these, they are just out of this world. We cannot buy them because you'll find that one machine going for $200,000, $300,000, $400,000. There are few Zambians, if any, who can buy 2 or 3. How best can Mr. Katuta help this nation?
I have been waiting for you to ask me that question, Pastor, because that is why I am in Zambia today. Mm-hmm. Do you know that in America, mm-hmm. we have heavy equipment leasing companies, mm-hmm. large equipment leasing companies? Mm-hmm. And what these companies do is every 5 years, they depreciate their equipment out of their inventory because they've gotten the maximum use out of them. Mm-hmm. Do you know what they do with that equipment? Mm-mm. They store it somewhere in a yard and wait until they send it to auction because mm-hmm. they get new equipment. Mm-hmm. So here's the proposal to you, our politicians there. Mm-hmm. How about if we were to create a bilateral trade agreement with the United States and Zambia to say, look, all that depreciated equipment out of inventory, let's have that equipment sent to us here in Zambia. And in exchange, we'll give you, or rather, we will export our produce to the United States. That is how you do that. This is equipment in the hundreds of millions of dollars, which is gently used equipment mm-hmm. that can be utilized right here. And if we get that equipment in here, it means every farmer, every gold miner, every copper miner, every emerald miner will have access to very, very good equipment that is high quality, mm-hmm. that they can use for years to come. Mm-hmm. And by them getting that equipment, Pastor, what they will do then is now they can create jobs. And when mm-hmm. they create those jobs for their local people, now they can start paying people very well. Mm-hmm. And when they start paying people very well, then guess what? Mm-hmm. Now the economy grows. That's what we should be looking at as far as equipment goes.
The question is, Mr. Katuta, would you help our president, our government, Africa, to secure those equipments?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm talking right now, I am in talks with Nevada. I have a very good relationship with the Nevada governor, Governor Steve Sisolak. Mm-hmm. I am working with the Governor's Office of Economic Development. Mm-hmm. And the next trip I'm coming here, they will be coming with me. Mm-hmm. I'm hoping they come with me sooner. I am working with them through the Urban Chamber of Commerce in Las Vegas. Mm-hmm. And they are willing to do business with Zambia. So what I will do is when I go back, what I would like to do is make sure that I get, and I'm not saying this is something that will happen overnight.
I know.
Okay? I'm saying that let's start our conversations. Mm-hmm. I'm looking to, on behalf of my company, we're willing to write up a letter of intent to say this is what we're hoping to do. Mm-hmm. We will secure that equipment that is sitting there, $100 million worth of equipment. Mm-hmm. Sitting in those yards, getting ready to be sent to auction. We want to get that equipment into Zambia so we can give our miners, our SMEs, we can empower them, Pastor. We empower them so they can give these hungry youth in this country that want jobs. And remember, I don't want them to just give them measly paychecks. I want them to pay them very well so they can buy homes, cars. They should live in houses with consistent running water and electricity. There is no reason, there's no reason, Pastor, why Zambians should be suffering the way they're suffering. You talked about the IMF. The IMF should be borrowing money from Zambia with all the resources we have. So I am willing to put my name on it. I will talk to the governor of Nevada and also potentially the governor of California. Okay, so we can make these deals happen. Absolutely.
We have, like I said, Mr. Katuta, we have over 30,000 Zambians who are into farming. When I say farming, there are people who have 1 hectare, there are people who have 20 hectares and 20,000 hectares. We have data which we sent even to our expert in the US to cross-check this with national registration cards. The reason why I stopped holding seminars on agriculture, I used to with my wife, and we got everything. I would say certain people, they would come and I bring them on TV, the next thing it's a disaster. Bring this one on TV, the next thing it's a disaster, which left me with a bitter taste. But what I am saying is that when I heard you and you and I conversing that you can help this nation, believe you me, Zambia has no idea that it has blessed people like yourself. When you say 100 million, someone is thinking you are going to be a billionaire, and that's how our minds work sometimes. We don't know that if you bring me this grader at the price I can afford, I'll make more money than the cost of the grader. And those are realities on the ground. And the other thing that I may ask Mr. Katuta, do you help to facilitate or fund people who have got these ventures that can turn the economy around?
Yes. We work with several investors that are partners in our company. We have come, I'm not going to name names, but we have...
Please don't.
We have investors that are very capable. Very capable, especially if we have the endorsement or the blessing of the Zambian government to say, okay, we are open to discussions. These people will come here and they will make these deals. I'm going to tell you a short story. I don't know how much time we have, but I'll make it very brief.
Please go ahead.
When I went to America, I started a car dealership. I had a car dealership in Sacramento. And I was 27 years old. So with my dealership, obviously, I made a lot of money. And what I did with that money is what any 27-year-old would do. I bought myself a big house. I bought myself a yacht, a big boat. I bought myself a brand new Mercedes. And I was living my life, the American way, my American dream. Then my father came to visit me. I brought my father and my mother to visit me. And I remember I was driving my father. We were in my Mercedes and we were driving, we were going to my house. So we go through this gate opens and we drive through, and there's a golf course everywhere, it's nice palm trees everywhere. And my father, Pastor, is just sitting there, looking straight ahead. Then we pull up at my house just huge, huge. We get to the front door of my house and my father turns and looks at me and he says, so, let me get this straight. It is you and your wife and your son, at that time my son was 2 years old, living in this house. And I said, yeah. He says, and your people back home are suffering. That car you're driving, what you paid for that car, you could have bought buses that would be transporting children to school, to church, to the clinics. You have 10-year-olds in the villages walking for miles every day with buckets of water on their head to fetch water so that their families can have water for the day. And you live in this house. He said, I'm very disappointed.
He said that?
Yes. And that changed my life. That is when I realized that my country was my responsibility. My people are my dependents. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. I financed my trip. Nobody paid for it. Me and my wife, we financed my trip with the help of my sisters so that I can come over here. I've been on tour on several countries because, again, like I said, my vision is not just for Zambia. My vision is for Africa. Because if Zambia develops and Zimbabwe and our neighbors don't develop, then we'll be right back where we started 30 years from now. I could be staying in a hotel. I can afford to stay in a hotel. But I'm staying in my brother Joseph Katuta's house. His wife cooks for me breakfast every morning, and she treats me very well. That is what we do. We make sure that wherever you can save money, save, so you can do more for those that can't. I'm here, Pastor, and I'm saying to you, my big brother, we are here to make sure that we bring the economy of Zambia up. We need to elevate the economy of Zambia, and it's going to take all of us to do that.
I sent the same clip about our interview today. I sent it to one of the Zambians. He's based in Dar es Salaam. Do you know that he's sending a lot of money from Holland, Germany, from everywhere? He's a big funder of the economy of Tanzania, a Zambian. And he said to me after seeing this clip, he's watching, he said, do you know, Pastor Chiluba, I secured $5 million for the goats, for goat projects in Zambia, those who want to breed goats. It's sitting here unclaimed because of the way I was treated in Zambia. And he rarely comes here. And he was saying to me, why is it that in Zambia, every president who comes mistreats the other? Everyone who comes, it's not having a good taste here. And he says, I want a Zambia that where people love each other and can develop. So when I listen to him, I listen to you, and I say, Lord God Almighty, if you can please use CamNet TV to facilitate this mindset in Zambia. Let me pick up, is Mr. Paulo there? My director, can I have Mr. Paulo?
Yes.
Oh, Mr. Paulo, there you are. How are you, sir?
I'm fine, and good evening, and I apologize, there have been some technical issues.
I believe so.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, Pastor, and good evening also to your guest.
Good evening.
Good evening to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is Mr. Paulo. I will ask my director to just zoom in on him to brief the nation, but is the CEO for World Sustainability Organization, one of the organizations Zambia and the president must know for us to break even in Europe and around the world. Mr. Paulo is in Italy right now. What have you got to say to the Zambian people?
Well, we actually started to collaborate with the Zambian government and the Zambian companies, and we are going to develop an office in Zambia, in Lusaka, which will, with the aim to turn Zambia into the sustainability hub in Africa. Why Zambia? Because Zambia is one of the fastest growing countries in Africa. It is also one of the most peaceful ones, ranking fourth, if I'm not wrong, on the hit parade of the most peaceful countries in Africa and one of the most peaceful in the world, obviously. It also has a strategic location. It is, I've been told, about 2 hours flight from 8 capitals of the neighboring countries. And so it's also a very good place to do business because also the governments over the years have facilitated companies investing in Zambia. So all this put together makes it a very logic place, a logic country for starting a hub in Africa for sustainability. We also have a very strong position in some key sectors like mining, as well as agriculture, with cotton, with coffee, with corn and tobacco, for example, as well with the growing aquaculture and fishing sector. So in all these sectors, we can provide support to the local companies and the local people to improve their sustainable practices, to reduce their impact on the environment, and also improve the social accountability, the way that workers are treated. This is a very important factor. So that finally the companies might or should be able to achieve our certifications or other certifications in sustainability. We have 2 major certifications: Friend of the Sea for products and services which respect the marine environment, and Friend of the Earth for products and services which respect the land environment and agriculture and develop agricultural sustainable practices. So these certifications will in turn allow the companies which aim to export to enter international markets, which are particularly keen and keener every year in sourcing from sustainable producers. So that's our plan in a few words, and that's what we proposed to the Zambian government in a meeting at the Zambian embassy in Rome some months ago, at the presence of your Ministry of Foreign Affairs and your government, which I must say is really enlightened on these issues and really and seriously and sincerely willing to improve the company's practices in terms of making them more sustainable, immediately reacted positively to our proposal and then helped us in the following months. We have actually visited Zambia, had meetings with basically all the relevant ministries involved in this project, and also with the Bureau of Standards and ZBA and several others. And they've all been very supportive, and the companies are enthusiastic to get this project started. So it is our plan in September or October to activate the office in Lusaka and to work closely with the authorities and also with the Zambian people and the friendly Zambian people, I must say, because I really had a very, very positive feeling and impact when I was in Lusaka and Dola a few months ago, to go together to improve their practices, reduce their impact on the environment, and then try to export this acquired knowledge to the neighboring countries. Because export is not only export of tangible products, but it can also be export of services, which of course have an added value, provide an added value to a country like Zambia, and can grow some level of professionality. We are planning to hire and employ only local people, Zambians. You have, as you were saying, I heard previously on in your show, you have a very educated population, let's say, and your mother tongue English, which is really an advantage on the international market. And so we are really optimistic about the potential of this project.
No,
and media like yours really play a very important role in spreading the word and raising awareness.
Our mother tongue, Mr. Paulo, is not English. We have just learned it because we have to communicate with you. We have 73 different languages, but the general language that we speak for the sake of Mr. Paulo is English.
Yes, I apologize for the imprecision, but what I meant to say is that your English is definitely better, for example, than the English of most Italian people, and that surely is an advantage on the international market. And I really appreciate also all your other mother tongue languages, and I would really wish one day to be able also to speak those languages and even better communicate with you and the Zambian people. I apologize.
Mr. Paulo, before you check out, Mr. Katuta here, my guest, he believes in creating jobs for the Zambian people, for the African people, and not just jobs, but well-paying jobs. We have a lot of investors in Zambia, but you find that they pay our people $50, some of them $30 per month, which is robbery, you know. If me as a Zambian, I can employ my fellow Zambian, I can't pay them $50. Why would international companies pay people $70, $50? Mr. Katuta, before Mr. Paulo comes in, you said you believe in paying people good.
Yes.
Can we achieve that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I like what Mr. Paulo is saying. The fact that we have a business climate that is welcoming to investors, that right there is an advantage. It's a very big advantage. Also, to add to what Mr. Paulo said, our English as Zambians is very easy to understand. There are other countries that speak English, but they don't speak it as well as we do. Those are all advantages. So if we were to empower our people, again, it all goes back to equipment. If we provide our SMEs, our small to medium-sized enterprises, if we provide them with equipment to make them commercialize their industries, and then we stop the brain drain, because our biggest challenge in this country is that we educate our children, we give them a very good education, but we don't have the infrastructure to keep them here. So what they do is when they get a college degree, they go to places like America or Europe, and they find that somebody with a college degree in engineering, their starting salary is at $50,000 a year. And then the same person comes to Zambia, and they are lucky to find a job. And if they do find a job, God forbid, they get a job with one of these unscrupulous business and so-called investors that are coming into our country. Now they pay them $50, so it has become a norm. So now we are selling ourselves short. So now we are losing our brain. We need to make sure that we pay them well so they stay right here. We need to make sure that when we give these jobs, we pay them enough to have Social Security. At the end of that's the other thing we need to talk about. At the end of retirement, once they've worked their full year, 50, 60 years, when they retire, they need to have a Social Security income that will sustain them for the rest of their lives. We need to give them medical insurance, paid medical insurance, so that if they get hurt, their children get hurt, their wives are in labor, they could go to a hospital and not have to worry about who's going to pay for it. All those are things we need to put in place. That's how we keep our educated people right here in this country. Then we will develop. With everything that we have in this country, we should not be borrowing money from anyone.
Mr. Paulo, before I let you go, in Zambia, we've gone into agriculture. Zambia has been surviving through the sale of copper, which has not even helped to develop our nation. Now we are going into agriculture, and Camnet Television is one channel that we use very strongly to tell people to go into agriculture. You mentioned aquaculture, you mentioned different sectors of agriculture. When you come on board, is there any facility that you can take some of our people to come and learn in Italy, and then they come back, as Mr. Katuta is saying, you train them, they come back to develop our nation? Because I don't believe that a nation can develop with full of idiots who know nothing, what to say, what to do. We cannot develop. Are you in a place to help Zambia grow the capacity for our nation?
Well, as I was saying, we are hiring and employing only local professionals, and there will be professionals on agriculture sustainability too. And we are actually already started to hire locals, even though we haven't opened the office. And you know, going back to what you were saying, our salaries are definitely at international level standard. So we're not paying those numbers that you were saying, but something much closer to what we would pay an Italian or a European. And so we hope that experts that, as you were saying, are currently working abroad instead of coming back to Zambia, will actually come back to Zambia. And one of the first persons that we hired is actually has actually been working so far in the UK, and is looking forward to come back to Zambia, where actually his family is. So that's the process that we want to see, and we want also to help the local companies, in particular the small and medium enterprises, which need the further support to grow and to consolidate your production and productivity, to be able to enter new markets. So beside our certification services and activities that we develop in a non-profit fashion, we also provide sales support services, which really help enter some of the major retailers worldwide, with which we already work, and which are really keen to source from sustainable suppliers. They're always looking for new sustainable suppliers, because normally the demand for certified products is higher than the current availability. And so we really hope and actually are convinced that we will be able to allow, as we have done in other countries and with other companies, to expand their market opportunities abroad. Also in the agricultural sector, that, as you were saying, is very important to provide an alternative to the most dominant export that you have, which is copper, which is mining products. We really need to develop this sector in terms of exports to be a good alternative in changing market times and demands. So we really look forward to support in that sense, but that has always got to be done in a sustainable way, because if you are destroying your resources in an uncontrolled way, sooner or later you will have to pay the consequences. And that's something that everybody nowadays understands, hopefully. And however, certifications is basically a third-party verification of the efforts made by companies to reduce their impact. Because one thing is a self-claim on the side of the company, something else is a third-party certification like the one that we can provide.
Thank you, Mr. Paulo. I'm sure September, as you come to Zambia, you'll be sitting in this seat here where Mr. Katuta is, so that we can talk more, and that you open up the European markets for Zambia. We appreciate your time with us.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your interest and opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Paulo. Well, I can only thank Mr. Ambassador Mubukwano for Italy. He's been working around the clock in Italy, mobilizing businessmen, mobilizing businesswomen, and I can tell you that if we link up with Italy, what our embassy is doing there is just awesome. I've spoken to some billionaires through our embassy there, and we've lost some opportunities through our slow pace. But I thank God for Mr. Paulo. He will come and he will be with us. Let's go back to where we were, Mr. Katuta. You rightly said the government goes 30,000 people in a stadium and they only need 3,000. Do you think we can create 1 million jobs when we get involved as citizens through agriculture and other means?
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Mr. Director, please put the phone numbers there so that people can get us, send the text, and also open the lines so that people can. Because, you see, you rightly quoted the President of America. We should not ask what the government should do for us, but what we can do for the nation.
Yes.
It makes my heart bleed to see those educated young people, thousands in the stadium, looking to just be counting people. And after what next? It's because there is nothing to do. You employ 30,000 teachers. Thank God for the efforts being done. But Zambia's got 18 million people. What can we do as Zambians to come up together and say, let's create the job opportunities for Zambians?
Again, so we create 30,000 jobs for teachers. The question is, what do we do with the students the teachers are teaching? They're going to go away. They will get educated and they will leave and they won't come back.
The brain drain you are talking about?
So I love the idea of creating jobs for teachers, because teachers are a fundamental rule of society. They not only teach our children, they teach us culture and tradition and how to behave. But we need jobs for those students when they're educated. And that's where we have to come back and say, what do we do? What do we do? We have farmland. You know about farmland more than anyone I know. Imagine those farms, if we were to have people, if we were to create factories on those farms that take those crops from the farms and turn them into finished products that can be exported. Think of the jobs. Think of the high-tech jobs that are available out there, the innovation. We need these people, our children, as we educate them, we need to let them think. Because they're so smart. Trust me, I see them every day in the United States. One of the things I'm doing in the United States is I am the Secretary General for the Zambian Associations Network of the United States, which is called ZANUS. And this is an organization of all the associations in America where we all come together as a think tank. One of the things we're doing is we are launching a community center. The idea is to launch community centers in all the cities. And we aim to do nothing in those community centers but have youth development programs where we can develop our youth. We need to create areas where our mothers can sit, our elderly mothers. My mother is 85 years old. She has nowhere to go. She doesn't have friends that she can relate to. If we have that community center, they can all hang around there. The mothers who have no place to take their children for babysitting, they have a place to go. But the point, Pastor, is that if we educate these children, give them the jobs, they will stay.
That's right.
They will stay. The question is, how do we do that?
One of the things, Mr. Katuta, that by the grace of God, I want you to help us think, is that I have a team. It's called Team Zambia through CAMNET. And we sent the message that please create the link for the bishop in the states he wants to be part of this discussion. And we have Team Zambia. And Team Zambia, we have a lot of people who have got land. I'll submit to you because my passion is for this nation, so that you can help us, especially with the earth-moving equipments that we so need in this nation. We have national service. To hire that grader from the national service, to hire that bulldozer from the national service, people don't have the money. But I'm sure with your help, we'll come up with a plan. And with this Zambian in Tanzania, I know he's listening. My role as a pastor is to just help facilitate, because it will be pointless for me to sit down here, blame Edgar Chagwa Lungu, the former president, blame Hakainde, the president, blame whoever is in the grave for having acquired that loan and what. I don't think like that. I want to see how can we help this nation. So once we come up with that as Team Zambia or the farmers in Zambia, we submit to you. Will you be in a position to work with this team across Zambia?
Absolutely. It will be my honor. It will be my honor. And I also would like to submit that the president of Zambia is only in office for a certain term, 1-2 terms at the most.
Hold on to that thought. Let's pick up the call. Somebody is calling. Hold on to that thought. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Brother Silva.
Good evening to you. Who is calling and where are you calling us from?
This is Emmanuel calling from
Emmanuel calling from where?
Rwanda.
Emmanuel calling from Rwanda. Please go ahead and make your submissions brief so that other people can call.
Good evening, sir.
He's greeting you.
Good evening to you, sir.
Yes, I'm good, sir. Doing what the executive for the program is a good policy, and we should keep it up. For Zambia, I believe in the very simple, and we can't keep doing animals to everything. Because I'm a youth, very powerful,
sorry, Emmanuel.
Yes,
The sound is not clear. I'm not hearing so much. It's a little bit distorted. Can you drop the phone and call back again, Emmanuel? Sorry about that. Thank you. Okay. You were saying the president is only in office for a short time or whatever. You were bringing that thought.
Yeah, his time in office is limited. So we put too much on the president. The president is our civil servant. He works for us. His job is to make sure that the needs of our people are communicated to the world. So we cannot leave it upon him and his ministers to save our country. It's up to us, the citizens of the country, to save it. That is why we have to have equity in our country. We have to make sure that we love our country. That is why in America, if you're walking in the street and somebody drops a piece of trash, you go pick it up and throw it in a can, in a trash can. That's what I want to. That's how you build equity in your country. You love it to where if you put trash on your ground, you're destroying your own land. You have to love it enough. If I'm walking around, I've been doing it since I've been in Osaka. If I'm walking around, I see an empty bottle, I pick them and I throw them in the trash.
Let's pick up this call. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Who's calling?
This is Emmanuel.
Emmanuel, now you are a bit clear. Please go ahead and contribute. Hello, Emmanuel? Hello? We have lost him. Yes, Mr. Katota. So we should not put the blame on the president. We should help him.
Yes. The blame is on us. It's on us.
You see, the problem I find, Mr. Katota, sorry to say this, and one crime I've committed in this nation is to be straight. I fail to go around the corners, you know. I'm like a train which cannot make a U-turn right here. You find the politicians themselves, from President, the MMD government, President Chiluba, they blamed Dr. Kaunda. When President Chiluba went out, the other presidents blamed the other politicians. When those went out, PF came. Now PF is gone. These who are here, they are now blaming PF. That blame game, I find it to be challenging to me. Yes, people make mistakes. This is why God says sin. Sin is going wrong against the establishments that God has put in this world.
Yes.
And Jesus said, when they found a lady committing adultery, said, whoever has not committed sin, throw the first stone. What I'm saying is this, especially here in Zambia, I look forward to a time when we can sit around the table, opposition, ruling party, and say, what can we do for our country? I think those are my thoughts. You know, those are my thoughts. Now, in you bringing these thoughts, some questions I'm avoiding them, and you know we live in the world of internet. As we are talking, you receive, some people will search you on Facebook and start asking you questions. It has happened. I bring guests here. The next thing you hear, oh, Pastor Chulu, I spoke to your guest, and this is what he said. But nevertheless, that is besides the point. I'm simply saying, I think you, Team Zambia, and the president, I look forward to a time when we can sit around the table. And I look forward, it's just that you are flying out tomorrow. I've tried to call this one, that one, so that you can actually go and meet the president, because the ideas that you have can work for this nation. And this is the painful part of it, you know. Again, there is a call. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Who is there?
Good evening, sir.
There is echo. Please lower the volume on your TV and move out from where you are so that we can just talk like this. Otherwise, what's your name and where are you calling us from?
I'm calling you from Chilanga.
From Chilanga. What's your name?
Gibson?
Gibson.
Yes, sir.
Gibson, what is your contribution?
My contribution, sir, is what is good for agriculture to grow. There are other people who have got other views apart from agriculture, engaging in agriculture. How do you intend to help that kind of people who can also employ local Zambians with other empowerment? Such as apart from agriculture machinery, but other machinery that can create jobs to contribute to the economy of Zambia.
Okay, Gibson, thank you. Mr. Katuta, you've heard the question.
Yes.
We're talking about agriculture. Mm-hmm. You were selling vehicles. You still sell. You help people in America, isn't it?
Yes.
Your company is in that.
Yes.
He's saying, how can you help other people who are not into agriculture? For example, I want to start a garage to be fixing vehicles. Mm-hmm. I need the equipment from South Africa. Mm-hmm. Can you help such people?
Yes. And Gibson, you bring up a good question, because our help is not only limited to agriculture. We also help miners. We have a lot of emerald miners. We have a lot of gold miners. We have a lot of copper miners, small-scale copper miners. We help everybody. So what I would suggest to you, my dear brother, is that you submit what it is that you need. I think there'll be a point when my information can be displayed. You can reach out to me. Whatever it is that you do, for me, as long as you create jobs, I will help you. Mm-hmm. I will help you, okay? If I may ask you, Gibson, what line of business are you in?
Oh, is he there? No, it's cut. We can pick up another call. Hello, good evening.
Good
evening. Is that Dr. Mkandawire?
No. My name is Fraser Kachari. I'm calling from Mrs. Compound.
You are who?
Fraser.
Fraser?
Yes.
Okay, from Mrs. Compound.
Yes. I need to go to beauty. The topic is too wonderful. I need to find out many people say that Zambia is rich. Yes, it's rich. Here we have to go back here in Zambia. We have to go in here in Zambia. But where does the money go? Because we can see that even if where copper comes from, there is no any development, even if youth to have a job. But copper seems the justice is moving outside, just moving outside, even to make even industries to protect our own Samuel cable. We are saying Samuel cable is coming outside. What is the problem? Even right now, they're supposed to make decisions. They say that they don't have cable. What is the problem here in Zambia? Even the water, just to make water, we say what's the matter or what's the problem. I need to find out what Zambia is rich. But why we are too poor, but poor is poverty.
He wants to find out where the money goes. For copper, we say money is, because Zambia is rich. Where does the money go? But before you answer that, I just want to say to Fraser that sometimes if you put your confidence in man, you will develop BP. You'll be a patient of in and outside UTH. You must come to a level where what we are talking about with Mr. Katuta, for once, the government has created enabling environment. For once, let's come together. What is it that we Zambians should do? I think that's what I can say.
Yes.
But he wants to find out. Is there another caller? Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, please reduce the volume in the background. What's your name and where you're calling us from?
I'm Bishop Dr. Paul. Okay?
Dr. Paul. Yes, go ahead. You are in the United States. Which state are you in, Bishop?
I'm actually in South Carolina, in Greenville.
Oh, there you are. Bishop, we can see you. Please go ahead and contribute.
Pastor Chiluba and Wakatuta, I want to commend for job well done, especially in they are dealing with, it giving us some kind of hope. People who have a part for the nation of it really grieved up when young people paraded in the stadium. Hope if we have people like other diaspora people who are promising to come back to Zambia and make a difference with their country. Now, Katunta, I want to encourage you that it's no easy undertaking that which is facing you right now. The reason being that you have to deal with areas of concern such as the paradigm shift. There must be a major overhaul of the way we think, the way we do business, the way we work. Work culture has been brought down to the lowest level. Oh, to look at maybe we do it simultaneously and how
Bishop, can I interrupt you? My director, please cut the line and give the bishop another good link. We are not hearing properly.
Correct.
Are you hearing? There's some interference.
Yes, there is. And
the link which was between Rome was clear than this one in South Carolina. Please give us a good link, Mr. Director. But a few things that he brought out to our attention, he was just thanking you about the effort you are doing. I can tell you, Mr. Katuta, I also get embarrassed sometimes. When you see the Nigerians, they work so hard, wherever they are, whichever country my wife and I have gone to, their interest is to develop Nigeria. The Ghanaians, the same. But Zambians, sorry to say this, God has to help us. You know, we are not thinking of coming back, bringing the money here in the economy and do the work. And that is the problem that I have.
Right, and like the bishop said, the little that I got from his message was that this is a very huge undertaking. I know that. I'm a businessman. I have been a businessman for 30 years. Nothing is simple. But the important thing is that we start somewhere. We start the conversation. How do you eat an elephant, Pastor? One bite at a time.
Absolutely.
That's what we have to do. We start the conversation, and as we develop and we get more people to buy in, because what happens with most of us is when we see that it's such a big undertaking, you don't even see where to begin, it depletes your energy and it demoralizes us. So we're like, I'll just leave it. But it's too risky for me, my son, my grandsons. And when I look at our history, when I look at our forefathers, the way they fought for this land, they died, they bled for this land. And if we don't treat it right and take action now, we will lose this country again, and what they have died for will have been for nothing. I had a few colleagues of mine that had an event in Livingstone in July. Our president, President H.H. Hakainde Hichilema, attended it. The event was called Igniting. It says igniting, let me get it right. Shifting mindsets to ignite growth. That's the subject. It's a paradigm shift, absolutely. But we have to start thinking like that. There's nothing that we can't do. We have everything we need. We have the educated people. We have the land. We are a very democratic country. Corruption is a problem. Corruption is a problem everywhere. Again, the only way to curb corruption, let's start putting people into power that are forward-thinking. Let's not take people that are poor and you put them in power, because the first thing they want to do is line their pockets. What we need to do is find people that are thinking, this is our country. This is the country, not for us, for our grandchildren. That's how we do that. But it can be done, Bishop. It can be done with your help. The diaspora everywhere. The people right here in Zambia. That is why I said the government has to create a department where you have the youth in the United States and the UK, in the diaspora generally, and the youth right here in Zambia on the ground. Open their lines of communication. Give them a platform where they can communicate, and they will change this country for us.
There is something that we are planning at national level along those lines, because trust me, my wife and I, some time back, we were in the West Indies. And now at my age, I don't like taking long flights, Mr. Katuta. One of the flights that I enjoy is from here to South Africa, because that is 1 hour, 30 minutes. But if I'm going to the UK or Canada, I start preparing my mind 4 or 5 days and where to rest. So it's not any fun for me. But when we were in the West Indies, believe you me, I had the privilege to speak to some of the multi-millionaires who own the airlines. And one of the things, Her Honor, the Vice President, will recall that when we came that time, she was Minister of Information. I brought those contacts so that the government of Zambia can contact, because the only way I thought, why should we here in Zambia go to London, then fly to West Indies? That route is not good. Or go to South Africa, then fly to Atlanta, Georgia, or Miami. So I put the arrangement where the CEO of that big airline said, Pastor, we've got long-range planes that can fly right from West Indies and land into Zambia. They looked at the kilometers without refueling, you know, and I brought that to Her Honor, but that's a long story. But I've revived those talks. I want to see an establishment of an airline between Zambia and the West Indies, so that when I'm going to Jamaica, you are going to Jamaica, you don't have to go to South Africa, US, then, or you go to Ethiopia, overfly Zambia to go to the West Indies. And those are some of the things. But like you are saying, and thank God for your having delayed the flight, Mr. Katuta. People may not appreciate you now, or some government officials may not appreciate you now, but as they get in touch with you, as we coordinate, we can help this nation.
Yes, we
You
can.
don't have ambitions to become president of Zambia, have you? Because in Zambia, once you start bringing money and you are helping somebody, the first thing is, oh, he wants to be an MP.
No,
So they start distancing themselves from you.
No, I'm a businessman in the private sector, and that's where I intend to be. The idea of every president that gets in trouble after they leave office is very scary to me. So I think I'll serve from where I am.
I'm so happy to hear that. Let's pick up the call, then we go to the text messages. Hello, good evening. Hello? Who is calling and where are you calling us from? Hello? Your name is?
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, sir. What is your name? Mubanga Banda.
My name is Mubanga Banda.
Sir, reduce the volume from your TV because they will cut you shortly if there is feedback. Let's just concentrate. Reduce your volume. Yes, Mr. Mubanga Banda.
There is one thing that I want to contribute.
Yes, sir.
On the issue, I heard you mentioning about the amount of wages which we have when we are paid. And the major conflict in that is not the investor. It is the minimum wage which the government has placed on us, Zambia. That affected the Chinese or any sometimes comes in this country. The first thing they will look at is the minimum wage. What is the minimum wage for every employee? You find that just for 25 engineers, it's about close to 5,000 plus. For this generator, it's about 900 plus. Now, who is subjecting to government people to do becoming poor? It is not the government. It's the government who needs to better. They come up with the policies that will empower Zambians by increasing the minimum wage. That will see development. You will see people investing in big pockets. Now, I think if they don't make on the minimum wage, then we have a problem. That is, like today, I'm a software entrepreneur. I'm a business person. I have about what will be business things. I have about 20 years that are the contract with the government and the services implemented. Now, I was involved. Like the previous government, they were empowering people who not really qualified to do the job. As opposed to us who are playing games with the things going out and how to handle the business and how to handle the growth of the doing and stuff. But we found that they didn't people who do not using as the qualification, the data of the system, the data of the statistics, the long company. That they are very the ones they are running. And the government can come up with a policy whereby those who are qualified, who are able to do the job, are empowered with the skills, knowledge, with the investment, and they will see a lot of the employment. Now, 8 years ago, I made a decision that I never worked for any company as an employee. And it's so often that I've been greatly reached by this as an entrepreneur. But we find that we think it's not a big learning of the industry. Because one of the things, the number one thing that I've told the lot of it to go to the program is one, laziness. Two, they don't want to go and do the job that some of us are doing. They are in the ability that at the end of the day, if you look at it, I'm able to look after a family, I'm able to do some more, I'm able to invest in other things to supplement the house. But
the line is Thank you, Mr. Mubanga Banda. This man is one Zambia, one nation. Mubanga Banda.
Yes.
No tribalism. Mr. Katuta, you've heard one point he has brought. The government is the culprit number one. Because they don't have self-esteem for its citizens. You cannot say minimum wage is 900 kwacha. What can somebody buy from 900 kwacha? If you convert that into dollars, Mr. Katuta, at 16 kwacha to $1, how much is that a person getting?
I'm even embarrassed to answer that question, Pastor. But I think that when the minimum wage is set, they should look at the cost of living. And I know we have very, very educated people in these government offices, and they can do better than that. If average, I'm not an economist, and I could tell you if average rent in Lusaka is $600 a month, and a man with a family is making 900 kwacha, what can he do with 300 kwacha? So you're killing your people. Those are things that should be changed, and we should look into really changing that. Yes. That's a very sad state of affairs, very sad.
And the other contribution you said, going to this brain drain, it's because he says the Zambians are lazy. And also there are no opportunities probably to offer the young people what they were born for.
I don't think Zambians are lazy. As a matter of fact, I disagree with that respectfully. Zambians are very hardworking. They just need the opportunity, and that is where the government comes in. Give them the opportunities, and Zambians will amaze you. Zambians will amaze you. I've seen what they've done in the diaspora, and if you give them a chance, they will come back home. I'm ready to come home, and many of us are ready to come home.
Mr. Katuta, we'll come to this. Let me pick up some text messages. Let's read some text messages, but I've got something for this nation. Good evening, brethren. Good program for Zambia to develop. We need to love our country and the political will by every leader. This is Derek. It says every leader, every politician must have a political will to develop this nation. Text messages. Good evening, both. The program on the table, very inspirational, but in Zambia too, much protocols. They take everything for granted. What would you say to this? You are a victim, too much protocols. Thank you, Mr. Director. Don't give us another text. You see what he has put there? You are a victim of this. The red tape. No, you can't see the president. You can't see that one. You see, me, I don't blame the president. I've been saying this all along. The people around the presidents, whether they think somebody is coming to take over their jobs, I don't know. You know, because where you are here, arriving 3 weeks ago, one Zambian should have picked up to say, Mr. Katuta, let's go, you see the president. You offer some of the things we are not discussing here. You can tell the president.
Yes.
And he implements. But he's talking about too much protocols, red tapes. No kumonafe PS. You have to spend 2 hours per bench. PS. Before you go to the minister. Naniba minister, yabana wes.
Wow. Wow. It's very sad. It's very sad because I've been in other countries and I saw the presidents. I was allowed, I'm using the word allowed because I can't think of a better word. I was permitted to see the president or even have an audience with them faster. But I can't complain. I do realize our president is a busy man. All I hope is that the people that are around him realize that there are a few of us that have some really good ideas that this country can benefit from. So if at least you can't let us see him, maybe get the message across to him. I have reached out through many people that I know that are prominent in this town to get the opportunity to see the president, and it hasn't happened. But I will be back again because this is not about the president. This is not about me. This is about the people of Zambia. So I will be back.
Anyway, I'll tell you something, Mr. Katuta. Thanks be to God. I always don't want to take things for granted. Every president that has been in office, they've accorded me chance. And I speak to them, President Edgar Chagwa Lungu, President Chiluba, all of them, including the incumbent. I have his mobile number, but you see, it does not serve me well. Because of his mobile number, I should directly go to him and say, Mr. President, is our president. If we don't respect that office, nobody will respect it.
Absolutely.
Nobody, and I'm very careful about that. The only problem I have, like I said, are the people who work around the president. Because once they hear Pastor Chiluba or Mr. Katuta wants to see the president, I'm not going for a job. And I don't want to disrespect my president, always to call him, Mr. President, we chat. That has never been my nature. Never. Even when President Sata was in office, he gave me one of the mobile numbers that even some ministers could not reach him. But I never abused my authority. And this is the pain that I have. Because here you are, this Monday today, you were supposed to be with another president in another country. I persuaded you to say, let the Zambian people see this and hear for themselves. Thank God you are here. Tomorrow, you'll be in another country seeing another president in your own country. You can't see your... This is very frustrating. And I tell people, especially me as a preacher, Mr. Katuta, I don't want to go and behave like a crocodile in Tanzania when in my country I'm a lizard. I don't like that.
Yes.
You know, I like being who I am.
Yes.
You know, if you can't respect me in my own nation, who will respect me out there? So, before you come this time, please let me know. We will write letters. If it means 50 letters until the president gets it, we will do that.
Yes.
Because this nation is going backwards. Instead of bringing people like you and other people, this is why my good friend Bishop John Mambo, he shares the same sentiments with me for years, you know. Nevertheless, Mr. Katuta, don't give up. As we remain behind, we have a plan with Team Zambia. We have a plan. I'll give you the names. I'll give you the projects that are there. Please help the people of Zambia. This nation needs help. Through your connection with the equipment, we need a lot of equipment in this nation.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the equipment is there. The equipment is there, and the farmers, the miners, the construction companies, they are ready.
In fact, one businessman I was speaking to in Kitwe said, Pastor, if I flew into the United States, can I meet Mr. Katuta to introduce me to some of the people where I can buy these graders or buy the equipment?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I live in Las Vegas. Call me, come into town. I will take you there directly. Yes.
We will talk about that. Let me get some few text messages and prepare to say something to the nation. And like I said, I always protect my guests. I'm not going to display your contacts there. You'll be abused. But we'll do it in a systematic manner.
Yes.
Those that want to reach you, they can call Camnet, they can send messages, and we'll send their names. And we'll come together as a group so that you can help Zambia.
Yes.
Yeah. The question that I saw, Mr. Director. Good evening, Pastor Chiluba and the guest. My question is, what is the difference between Zambian banks and American banks in terms of citizen empowerment for business? Do you know any difference?
The difference between American banks and Zambian banks in terms of what was
empowering
empowering
the
business
citizens of Zambia, empowering
and businesses.
Businesses, yeah, the citizens of the country.
The difference, I can't speak to the Zambian banks. I don't know enough about them yet, but I will. What I know, the reason the American businesses empower the citizens because they make money. They make money giving out loans. That's how banks survive. So that is why I said if we can create a system, a credit monitoring system that monitors how businesses operate. Because what we need to do is identify the projected income of the people that are borrowing money from, the companies that are borrowing money from the banks. If we can have that in place to where I would go and I would say, okay, I'm a farmer, I grow tomatoes in the winter, I harvest them in the summer, and by the time I harvest them, this will be my profit, and the bank sees that and they compare to other tomato growers, there's no reason why they shouldn't give me a loan. So we need to find a credit monitoring system that monitors how people pay their debts in general and how they are making profits.
Let's take no phone calls. Let's take the last 5 text messages. And after that, I'll ask Mr. Katuta to speak to the nation. And then we call it a night. Let's have 5 messages. Good evening, Pastor Chiluba and Mr. Katuta. Kindly remember us as women. I need help in agriculture. Land available. I need a tractor to go into pine plantation. We are stamping manually. This is Mrs. Nguni. Can you imagine this?
Wow.
She's got a vision. She's doing what she can manually. Are there tractors out there, Mr. Katuta?
There are several tractors. Mrs. Nguni, hang in there, sister. Help is coming. Continue doing what you're doing with what you have, and help is coming. I promise you that.
Thank you. The last 4 messages, Mr. Director. Good evening, Pastor Chiluba and Mr. Katuta. Kindly remember, this is the one
That
you
was
gave
the
us.
same one, yes.
Yeah. Good evening, Pastor. What a nice program. Please keep it up to educate us as young Zambians and the whole country at large. Young and it meant to be energetic or whatever.
Emergent farmer.
Emergent farmer. This is Luano District. Kelvin Mukanda. Kelvin, may the Lord bless you and keep you. Born for greatness. Yes, I am Laston. I am in construction. I'm asking, do you help like us who are in building construction? I think it's supposed to, do you help those in construction?
I get it.
Like concrete mixers, compactors, with you? Do you do that, I think?
Yes. I have my brother, Mr. Joseph Katuta, right here in Osaka. He has a construction company, and he can help you with that. And if you have a concrete mixer that is required, or whatever it is required, we make sure to get it to you. We'll figure out a way to get it to you. Thank you.
Absolutely. And good evening, man of God and Mr. Katuta. May God help Camnet TV. My name is Marcel Bwalia of Chilabombwe. We have just got a multi-purpose cooperative, but we don't have any money, and we have about 10 hectares of land. Can I come and see you personally at your church? I have been there once, sir. Can you come and see me at church? We come and pray. Church, we come and pray. Yes, whoever you are, just get in touch with us through the phone. We will help. Good evening. The program with Mr. Katuta is good for SMEs. I need his line so that I can give him my proposal. Gibson in Chilanga. This is the same man who called. Gibson, you can do it through Camnet TV. Imagine if we give the 18 million Zambians the line to Mr. Katuta. He won't be sleeping. You know, he's not a pastor. He's a businessman. Get in touch through Camnet TV and we'll help you. Evening, Pastor Chiluba and Mr. Katuta. The program is interesting. What we need is this country in this country, I think, are factories, like Mr. Katuta said, and a lot of manufacturing companies, so that we will be able to make finished goods. Since we have the raw materials, please, Mr. Katuta and Pastor Chiluba, talk to the President about this, so that we don't need to import almost everything from outside Zambia. God bless you, or God help us. Okay, the President, I think that's our last message. The President has been talking about this, you know. I don't know. Year after year, the government creates enabling environment in this. I can attest to that. But I think, you know, one mind that should be destroyed is to think that when I go into politics, I'll make more money. You know, when I go into this, I'll have access to this. That's a very wrong nation. Nevertheless, Mr. Katuta, you look in that camera, and what are your words to the nation? How will you help Zambia when you come back next, or what should people expect?
Thank you. Thank you, Pastor Chiluba. Thank you, the director, Camnet TV, the cameraman, and everybody that is here. My fellow Zambians, I am here as your brother, your uncle, your son. I don't claim to know everything. I don't claim to have all the answers. But what I know is that our country is a very rich country, and I know that it will take all of us to grow this country, to grow our economy. We cannot leave our economy in the hands of our government. Our government is limited, but we, the citizens, are eternal. Our children are counting on us. We are the ones we have been waiting for. This country will not grow itself. We can blame each other, we can blame the presidents, but at the end of the day, we are the ones to blame. We need to love our country. We need to protect our country. If you're walking and you see trash, if you saw sopamusebo, tola, uposte, chalo chove, chindikeni chalo. To our farmers, keep doing what you're doing. Help is on the way. We will get this country going. You have a new president, he's full of energy, and he has an open mind, he's welcoming. America is ready to do business with Zambia. And remember, Zambia alone, developed, is not going to change our lives. We have to reach out to other African countries, our neighboring countries. We all need to work together and make sure that we grow our country. Let us take ownership of our country. Be responsible for it. Don't be afraid to dream. Dream big. Dream big, because you can have whatever it is you dream. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. I am in America. I have been successful. I have had my ups and downs, of course. But I'm ready to come home and help you any way I can. Thank you for the time. Thank you for allowing me to speak to you. I love you. God bless you, and may God bless Zambia. Thank you, Pastor.
I am very grateful, my beloved Mr. Katuka. I want to read this text. Actually, it has come from one of the leaders, and without mentioning names, these have served in governments before, and not this PF, not this, I don't want to mention names, because when somebody sees, they'll say, oh, because of this, but I'm talking about leaders who served way back before PF. He says, leader says, a leader motivates the followers. The concept of a compass for the leader to find direction for the troops. Unless the leaders have a vision to create a poverty-free nation, we shall forever glorify poverty and pay homage to foreigners. This is the contribution on the program. Other messages, those of you that have sent on my line, may God bless you. I hope that we will tackle this. There's so many messages. But as Mr. Katuta said, I didn't want to put him on the spot on certain questions. But I want you to know, Zambia, you have a son out there in America wanting to represent this nation at higher level, including connecting with the governments of America. He is like a Joseph. Went there, crossed all the obstacles, but is there to help Zambia. When you hear his passion, when you see what he's doing, including his brother here, Joseph Katuta, I want you to know that certain people don't look at it from political money point of view. No, they are taking money. I would rather have a Zambian to have money because they will bank it here than have somebody who will bank it somewhere else. That is called capital flight. I want to thank Team Zambia, all of you that are in agriculture, all of you that are in other spheres. I want you to know, Mr. Katuta and I, Camnet TV, we've made a family. We will connect and update you and connect with Mr. Katuta. And also, the Zambian I talked in Dar es Salaam, who is getting millions of dollars. As a matter of fact, those of you that are in two goats, there is $5 million lying somewhere there, which we can access tomorrow. But all this, it needs national effort. We come together.
Yes.
Zambia is bigger than Mr. Katuta. Zambia is bigger than Mr. Chiluba, Pastor Chiluba. Zambia is bigger than the president himself. But when we all come together as a family and as one people, we can lift the elephant you talked about.
Yes.
And take it to our village. Then we start eating it piece by piece.
Yes, sir.
I am so grateful. Thank you for coming. And thank you that you postponed the trip to just speak to the Zambians. May God bless you, bless your wife, your children, and what you are doing there.
Thank you, Pastor.
On behalf of my wife, who is the CEO for this wonderful television station, and on behalf of the Camnet TV crew that work 24/7 to see to it that this station becomes better than other bigger stations in America.
Yes.
And around the world.
Yes.
To you, Camnet crew members, I say thank you. Zambians, Natwikatane. Whether you are from this tribe, that tribe, 73 tribes, let's come together. Let there be unity. Let's develop this nation. All of you viewers, remember you were born for greatness. I can say much, but allow me to simply say, keep watching Camnet TV. Camnet TV is not just another channel. Bye-bye.